So one of the other nice plants that's here, and it's nice for curries, is we commonly call it popweed because it has a spread of seed by the pods exploding, and it's really easy when it's gone just a bit past this to get shot in the eye. But this is a nice time to harvest this for wintertime foods. Mm-hmm. It's a nice, it's more like a honey mustard sort of fragrance when you have a gallon jug of it or so. You can smell it. It's not terribly strong, but it's nice. I dry it and I cut it up, or I eat it fresh like this. So it's a nice warming thing for the body. You can warm yourself up. You get so much rocket fuel from eating so much of this. Mm-hmm. And at this time, when it's like this, if you get plants, now this one is going a little bit more astringent because it's going into seed now. Mm-hmm. But when the plant is growing up, there's a real milky stage. Mm. And it's very, very easy. Like some of this will be at that stage. You pick it and you eat it, and the seeds are juicy. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're just chewing this very, very nice fiber. You get a handful, a mouthful, whatever you want to eat. And you chew that, and you go through the stages of recognizing the flavor in it. You feel the rise in your body warmth, or the, for sweets, the nice calmingness that it brings to the mind and energy to go. And you can see the diuretics, how strong they are, because that's a matter of concern. You eat too many diuretic things, especially coffee, and you can end up where your bladder just wants to party all night, whether you want to or not. You prime it.
Yeah.
So this is a really, really nice food. No need, you just take a look and eat it. The further down, like the top bit, like on all plants, the top bit is nice and supple. Like in these Canadian thistle here, they're going to flower now, or to stalk. This gets a bit bigger like that, it's nice to get a drink out of this. Mm. So what you do at that stage, and I don't see any other here, I start from the bottom and I go like that, and I pull them down. And it's like a cat's hair or something. Don't rub against it and you're fine. Mm-hmm. So you do it like that, and you go all the way down. And then at about that stage, a little bit prickly, but not too bad, you can eat it. Now there is a thing that happens when it gets to a certain stage. There's these little boring insects that come into it, and you look down near the base and there's a little brown pinhole. That means that somebody's gone up to the top and they're sucking on the nectar on about that much of the plant's energy, and they just ride up the stalk like that. Okay. But if you don't have the pinhole, you can take about a chunk like that, and you just chew it. Mm. And it's juicy. It's like cucumber. Yeah. The roots are more tastes like dirt, but that's fine. That's part of it. These you can eat. There's different ways of doing it. One way, which I showed this to a friend, Sebastian, and he showed it to his wife, and he explained it to her the same way I did. Mm-hmm. And it's like you nibble at it like a deer. And he was showing it. It was really sweet.
Doesn't it hurt to eat it, or?
Not like that.
No.
You break in half, or little bits, the thorn. Mm-hmm. And this is, I forget what the benefits of this are. There's lots of benefits. There's some plants when at the early stages, like teesle, this plant growing over there, Fuller's teasle.
Oh yeah.
It's all over the place here.
I thought that was I know, I see what you mean.
So Fuller's teasle, if the seed heads fall off onto the ground, if you break them and throw them to the ground during the winter time, they start sending up baby shoots. And it's nice. Teasle is used for Lyme's disease. Eating the root of it.
Wow. Wow.
And it's one of the strongest bitters around in this area. There's some other hawk plants that are extremely bitter.
So,
And this one is in line. When you eat the young shoots, it's almost like it's so gentle.
yeah.
It's there. But if you eat these as part of your food, then you're building your body up with it. And it's like a vaccination.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So which part of the teesle do you eat for the Lyme disease?
The root, generally.
Yeah.
And I've seen there's a wolf, somebody in, I forget if he was in Denmark, one European country. And he would just take the teasle root and peel a bit and eat it.
Oh.
I don't know if he always peeled it, but he would cut off a chunk and he was giving it out to someone else to eat.
Yeah.
So he's got bitterness, but bitterness most often are antibiotics.
Yeah.
So they're very, very good, and they clean your body. They're catabolic. And so it cleans away all this other stuff. You look at you're washing your dishes and you see a bunch of oil on there and butter and things that want to glom to it. These things help to clean away those things.
Right.
And these are all living
Yeah.
foods. So popweed is very nice. Okay, so there's purple dead nettle. There's a popweed. And what else? Oh, here's a really, really nice plant. This is nipplewort.
Okay.
A lot of times when you read books about this, they say it's really bitter. But, bitter is a perspective. There are some things, like yarrow, it finally turns into tasting like milk. And it's got lots of calcium in, and it's good for your teeth, for rebuilding teeth.
Oh.
But this plant, if the plant grows up and gets cut, trimmed off, it sends out massive amounts of shoots.
Uh-huh.
If the world goes through more difficult times, people who have this plant, if they put it in a right circumstance and they garden it right and they piss at it once in a while, they will have profusion of food.
Yeah.
Absolute profusion. This helps lactating mothers with their milk.
Wow.
And I would say that it's probably pretty good for children. There are certain plants that are good. Kids don't want to eat so many bitters because they're catabolic. Kids are growing. They need that, all the juices and all the stuff that's coming into them. They don't need to be yogis, although many suffer that. But this food grows, many of these are European foods. And if they're grown in such a way, there can be profusion of food. If places are microclimate, it's as simple as taking some of these stalks and making a wall or leaving them to grow, and then the plants underneath have shelter from the hard frost, and you have food. You have food in the middle of winter
Yeah.
if you understand what you're doing. And so I think this is an extremely good thing for people to understand and to know where because in our day we eat certain foods and then we need more of the mixture, the roundabout of what we need. We need our bitters, we need our sweets, we need some saltiness. So where to find it? And these plants grow everywhere. We are blessed. Nobody has to pay for anything.
Yeah.
And once they get it down, for a person who was really into it, if they were to get it down, they could learn 100 plants in just a few days. Take a shopping bag. Find out what this plant is, and write the name on your shopping bag. Draw a little picture of it.
Yeah.
All it is become familiar. But when people recognize the benefits of these things to our bodies, because we've been really plugged up with a lot of stuff that comes out of a jar or a can.
Yeah.
And it's not that healthy for you.
No.
Whereas this stuff, the oils are living, they work on your brain, your imagination, clarity of thinking.
Yeah.
Like wild carrot is an absolutely amazing plant, Queen Anne's lace. For years it's been used for women as a contraceptive, a morning after tea, and it's still used.
Okay.
I have a gal that I met a while ago, she talked about it, that she uses it. That's her main
Wow.
contraceptive.
Wow.
So, but it tastes good.
Okay.
In the winter, I go onto frozen ground, and I take my shoes off, my socks off, and walk barefoot for half an hour after eating wild carrot seed.
Okay.
It's very, very... If you want a yogic sort of plant, that one. And if you Google, there's a really good writer in the States, and I think to be a very, very good person. James Duke. He did a lot of famous books, but there's some information that he published. He did a book, a critical analysis of the higher food plants, of which many of them were weeds. But wild carrot had twice as many benefits as any other plant that I've ever seen. The amount of anti-putrefaction, antiviral, antifungal, the list just goes on and on and on. It's a very good rebalancing plant.
Do you have any around? Or,
Oh, yeah.
Should we go and find some? Or?
I'll find you some right here.
Okay.
I used to teach at a elementary school, wild food. And usually I would go up into a field and I would stand with my legs out, and I could find usually 12 to 15 plants that I could take into the classroom without moving one foot. So it's pretty good. Some soils, though, plants don't care for those soils, so they don't grow in them so much. And wild carrot doesn't grow everywhere. There are parts of the island here that don't have wild carrot. And but here it is here. This is Queen Anne's lace.
Yeah. I've seen that in England, Yeah.
So it's the same Latin name as for the orange carrots.
I thought that was carrots, yeah.
Yeah, it is. So it'll have the white dot.
Yeah.
It's got a fuzzy stalk or a stem leaf, stem. And when you crush it, it's carrot. The same familiar fragrance. And when you eat this stem or the leaf stalk, it's like ginger a bit. And very, very nice on the gut. A fantastic carminative.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say this is way better than green cardamom as a carminative.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem at all. And this is, when you go out and you take it like this, you know, it's beautiful.
Could you put it close to the camera and just so that we could have a look?
Some years ago, I rented a cabaret.
Yeah.
It was the night that Stanley Park blew over. And we had our first, I did 3 public meetings.
What happened to Stanley Park?
There was a windstorm that came through and just blew down a large amount of trees.
Shame.
So, but part of the point was that we filled the place. There was more people than there were seats for on that windy night. I had to pull branches off the roadway so I could get there. But the people's minds are rising. They're recognizing through whether through illness of their own or whatever it is, consciousness is rising up and looking and seeing, well, what was. And these, I believe, were our ancient foods before we went to live in cities.
Yes.
However we got here, you know, most nations of the world believe in something like Adam and Eve. And in the ancient books, this is definitely so. His name was Adamu. And there were variations, but our father, Adam, whose gene lineage we come from, probably wasn't that many thousands of years ago, but there were some others before that. Anyways, this would have been a food that we would have eaten.
Yeah.
And this is one of the most amazing plants. If you can get one that's like 1 inch in diameter at the top, clean off the root as you would like, and eat from the root up. And it ends up being juicy and delicious. You'll burp because it's so good. You'll burp from this. I haven't kept counting, but there's a number of plants when you eat them, they have such good digestive balance that you burp. It's making things flow nicely. Anyways, this is a great one. You can eat all parts of the plant. I did a wild carrot vichyssoise with this plant. Mind you, it was in seed at the time, but I